Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. I'm back. Good to be back. So here's the deal. We are going to do our normal reaction show, probably about 11:30, full post game, reacting to the full first day of the college basketball tournament. But I could not wait. We're going to lead the show with Kentucky, Oakland. But I could not wait to do a quick, immediate reaction to that game as the upset of the day. It was a quiet day in the NCAA tournament prior to the Oakland, Kentucky game. That was until what, about 9:40 Eastern time, as Kentucky falls to Oakland. Final score 80-76 for the fifth, sixth straight year Kentucky does not make it out of the opening round of the NCAA tournament. Last year they lose in the second round to Kansas State. The year before they lose to St. Peter's. This is a debacle. This is an abomination, and it falls, bottom line, on one guy, John Calipari. Listen, to me, I get it. The story of this game is going to be Jack Golke. I get it. 10 threes, second most in NCAA tournament history. But I think Jack Golke, and this is not something I thought I would say, is a metaphor for something bigger. Just a complete lack of preparation for Kentucky in the biggest game of the year. And listen, a week ago when we were in Vegas, I criticized Tennessee because I said Tennessee lost on senior day at home to Kentucky. So you would think that when they came out in the SEC tournament that they would come out focused, ready to go. So when they lose to Mississippi State, I say that's inexcusable because you knew what was at stake after a loss. And it's the same with this Kentucky team. You lose your opener in the SEC tournament where you don't show up. This game is no different. By the way, I'm going to take off my jacket here really quick. Forgive me. But I bring it up because, listen, if you're Kentucky, you're coming off that loss to Texas A&M. If you lose, you lose. Like, it happens. If something crazy happens, and I know you would say that Golke with 10 3-pointers is, but to me, again, that is a metaphor for something bigger. What is that? It is a complete lack of preparation for this team in this game, and it falls on the head coach. Now, it falls on other people. We're going to talk about that, all that good stuff. But to me, you know when I knew Kentucky was in trouble? It wasn't when Golke hit his fifth or sixth three. It was in the first 5 minutes of the game. I was texting a buddy of mine, a coach of mine, a coaching buddy, coaches high school, whatever. But I bring it up because right away, Trey Mitchell hits the first bucket of the game. And then from there, Kentucky looks lost on offense. They look like they don't know what they're doing, look like they had no idea Oakland was going to play zone when all they do is play zone all year. So that's bad enough. On top of that, this is the part that would drive me crazy if I was a Kentucky fan and I tweeted it out. The fact that you got out-rebounded, because this was the frustrating part for me as a consumer. I don't care if you win. I don't care if you lose. I don't care if Golke goes for 70, okay? But for a team with that much size, that much athleticism, that much NBA talent, to get out-rebounded by Oakland, to get pushed around in the paint, it is absolutely inexcusable. And so it absolutely falls on John Calipari. There are no excuses. And listen, this is a tough night for him. And I'm recording here before he does his postgame. I don't know what kind of excuse you can use, and I think he really has to think about stepping aside. We'll get to that in a minute. In the bigger picture, listen, it's not all on Cal. A lot of guys just didn't show up. And I think part of it was the mindset, the execution. Again, how do you not have a zone offense ready to go? How do you not, how are you getting beat to every loose ball? But beyond that, you know what else? It wasn't a good night for a lot of players. Reed Sheppard, I don't know what happened. He's been talking all week about you grow up for this moment, you put on that Kentucky jersey, whatever. Listen, he wasn't the reason that they lost, but you played at an All-American level. People are talking about you as the #1 overall pick in the draft, and I don't know that I believe that, and that's not a disrespect to Reed, but complete no-show. Look scared, look nervous, look timid, and I know what everyone will say. Coach Cal coaches tight, so all the players play tight. No. Antonio Reeves didn't play tight. Trey Mitchell didn't play tight. Justin Edwards, I thought, had some good moments late. Reed Sheppard had the worst game of his career. Rob Dillingham, by the way, had just about the worst game of his career as well. Although until, he did hit that three that cut the lead to 1 at some point. So when you're talking about quite literally the worst game that Reed Shepherd played all year, and Rob Dillingham in the short conversation for the worst game that he played all year, that's bad. Really outside of Antonio Reeves, who was incredible. Listen, Kentucky fans, I'm not trying to pour salt in the wound here, but Antonio Reeves last year was frankly the reason that you lost to Kansas State. Now this year, he was unbelievable, 27 points. You feel awful for that kid because nobody deserved a March moment like him. But outside of Antonio Reeves and outside of Trey Mitchell, nobody else really came to play. Ghana and Yenso got bullied in the paint. I don't know what happened to him. Adu Thiero, I don't know why he didn't play more. Justin Edwards, I said I thought he played fine. DJ Wagner was a non-factor. So you got basically the best possible game you could from Antonio Reeves and the worst possible game from just about everybody else other than Trey Mitchell and to a small degree, Justin Edwards. But at the end of the day, this falls on John Calipari. And listen, Kentucky fans have been saying this for years. I'm not going to go through year by year, but in the tournament, John Calipari coaches tight, his teams play tight. And listen, I think there is a pretty solid track record of that at this point. Do we want to go through? I'm sorry, Kentucky fans. I hate to do it. 2015, late in the game, had a chance to whatever. You know what happened there. 2019, you're in control against Auburn. You end up losing that game. 2022 against St. Peter's, you're in control in the second half. People forget about that. I think there was an 8-10 point lead in the second half, and Kentucky fell apart. Last year, Kansas State. This year, Oakland. And so when I look at this game, this falls on John Calipari. And I know that I have tried to find that balance between right and wrong, how much blame, how much shouldn't be blamed. But the bottom line is, I'll say this. I think he has to consider resigning. And I'm not trying to be reactionary, and I'm not trying to be overreactionary, and I'm not wishing this upon him. I've only had minimal interactions with Cal, but he's always been great to me. But this isn't about being great. This is about doing a job. This is about being paid $8 million a year to be the head coach of the University of Kentucky. It is your responsibility to have this team playing at its best in February into March. And the last couple of years simply haven't been that. 2022, you lose to St. Peter's. 2023, you lose to a good Kansas State team. I'm not trying to take away from what Jerome Tang and Marquise Noel did, but 2024, you lose to Oakland. And so to me, listen, this is the bottom line, okay? Where I stand on coaches generally is pretty straightforward. Could somebody do the job better? Like you look at, somebody wants ex-coach fired, fill in the blank coach, but he's at, a tough school. Like if whoever, I can't think of a great example off the top of my head, like Jerry Stackhouse. I don't think Jerry Stackhouse should necessarily have been fired. I don't think he cares. He got a lot of money. But it's like, can somebody do better at Vandy than Jerry Stackhouse? Not really sure that they can. But you start talking like, why did Kenny Payne get fired? Because it's so obvious someone could do the job at Louisville better than Kenny Payne was doing it. And it's the same with John Calipari. Listen, I tweeted this out and it's absolutely applicable. I was the first one. You can go back after the St. Peter's loss. I was the one that started the Kentucky is the Dallas Cowboys of college basketball. And it's been taken and it's been hijacked and it's been twisted, excuse me, by guys like Jay Williams. If you say the analogy correctly, it makes sense. Because what I said originally, Kentucky is the Dallas Cowboys of college basketball because they win a lot of games, but virtually none of the ones that matter. Maybe a couple ones in the regular season. Cowboys can go beat the Eagles on Sunday night. They look great. Kentucky can go to Thompson Bowling and beat Tennessee on senior day and they look great. But when push comes to shove, when moments matter, look at the results. SEC tournaments, they don't win. NCAA tournaments, they don't win. And if you're not going to do it with this team, senior Antonio Reeves, senior Trey Mitchell, 3-4 first-round picks in that freshman class, I just don't know when you're doing it. And so I don't know what Cal's going to do. I have a feeling, I actually think this might be the one. I think this might be the one where he says, you know what, maybe it is time for me to take a step back. I don't know, but it's just every single year you keep losing this fan base more and more. And I don't know that there can be any Kentucky fan that after this game can sit there and say that nobody could do the job better. So we'll be back at 11:30 or so Eastern time to break down this game, to talk big picture, first day of the NCAA tournament. Kentucky loses to Oakland. And I think John Calipari's got to consider stepping away. More at 11:30 Eastern.